guess since this is the third episode, it is my turn. And I guess we should have an actual official intro since we you keep whining. but hello everyone, welcome to Yapologist episode 3.
What's going on, guys? What?
I'm your I guess host and brains behind this unfair stake. And joining me as always is this guy Jester. Jester SOFC. It is together, but Jester SOFC. A little bit of a game switch. We just want to try out new games, maybe switch up the flow. Playing Helldivers 2, popular game. We both enjoy it. And today we're gonna be talking about AAA games and how
they've been struggling.
how they've been
A lot.
struggling, and I guess
Like a lot.
yeah. So we're gonna go into a mission now. So do you want to go ahead and start first? Because I know you did bring up this point mainly.
Yeah, I think this is a very important topic to talk about. Because we see the effects damn near every other day when things get announced or leaked, and you see who's working on the games and all that. I feel like the biggest talking point in terms of the downfall of AAA gaming. Honestly, I'm gonna come out swinging. I feel like it's management. Because you got to realize with the managers that these gaming companies have, they are able to, in a way, pocket a lot of money. You know, they have a strong dictation on what is allowed and what gets pushed through, and there are certain things where, for example, Western media, they want to push certain agendas that they want to, and then you got, Eastern gaming companies that they have their target audience, and it's all fair and it makes sense, but I feel like it gets to a point with a Western gaming company where, I'm sorry, I don't know what to fucking put.
I was gonna say,
It
dude,
doesn't matter.
I appreciate you talking, but please hurry up.
I'm trying. I was like, I don't know. But it's not that deep.
Yeah.
But this is deep at the end of the day. So that being said, target audience. To the gaming industry's credit, um, games are so vast in quantity, along with quality, that almost anything you push out will have a audience behind it. Even if you're a smaller game, like the horror game, like 616, they're pretty small in comparison to anything like Treyarch or even, oh my god, I'm blanking on the company name. The people that made the Silent Hill 2 remake, Bloober. Like
I thought you say like
they're a little bit
Ubisoft.
smaller, but they're still in that same realm of like, big boys. So at the end of the day, I feel like what you're trying to push out dictates a lot, and if you allocate all these resources to one thing, you're setting yourself up for failure. I don't want to say that. You need to make it naturally like fit in that universe, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because there's a lot that like gaming companies are trying to implement, and I'm not against it, but it becomes a thing of, does it fit the story? Does it have a place? Like, especially if it's already an established franchise as well.
Yeah.
Like you can't just go in there and change everything up just to
Appeal to the audience.
appeal to a different audience that wasn't even like
A part of it originally.
yeah. And again, when you're dumping, guys, technology is expensive, especially the more it's produced.
Yeah.
And you got to be real careful when you're trying to, in a sense, diversify your game, especially if it has a rich history behind it. And I think,
See, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think there's a point See, when you say that, like bringing diversity into games with like a name, I don't really agree with that. I don't think that that should
Oh my
be
god.
a point.
Stepped on me.
Dude. Oh, that my fault.
Well, to be fair, I ran under you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I don't think I don't agree with the whole bringing in more diversity just for the sake of diversity into an established franchise of any sorts. Really, and this doesn't. I mean, you see this everywhere, not just gaming, but I do understand the gaming aspect. Is that I feel like you can create the same great diverse story if you create something new. I don't believe in bringing in diversity into established. Not saying diversity is bad. It is like I love diversity. An example. Uh, I'm in the military, and there's a bunch of different people from everywhere, and to me, that is like the best way to get diversity because I can talk to anybody and like get all these different experiences, and I love talking to people and seeing hearing their experience and the way they talk about it and where they're from, what they grew up, what they did, what choices they make, all this and that. And I think with gaming and movies and TV shows, I think that instead of having to force diversity onto an established um, lineage, is worse than just bringing in new and different diversity. I'm not against diversity. I love diversity. Um, I'm repeating it because I don't want people to
Yeah,
get
at the
twisted.
end of the day, we're not against it whatsoever. It's just
The way
it
they
needs to feel
approach
natural.
it, yeah, the way they approach it is definitely can be very much different. And I don't think having to be like, oh, let's take this person and switch them up. Like, why don't you just make someone new? Why don't you make a new character? Why don't you make a new fucking story, a new fucking game, right? And all this shit instead of having to bring in something. Like to me, Assassin's Creed is about assassins and the whole
What?
the way it
No.
was um like the way I don't fuck get my words fucked up again. But do you get what I'm saying? I think I'm gonna just stop right there. But do you
I
get what I'm trying to say?
I understand what you're saying. I hope the audience does as well. At the end of the day, like we said, established franchises. You need to be smart when you implement it. You can't just you can't shove it down people's throats. Especially if you truly care about um diversity in the sense of trying to not only establish a fan base but spread awareness or acceptance. Those are awesome things, but if you put that in a game series like Assassin's Creed, where time period wise, you definitely could make it work, but audience wise, like that's not the target audience.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking about a game where it started off as you're just some white dude in Spain, or I think it was Spain, and you're just
somewhere, yeah, ancient.
taking down the Templars. Like,
Yeah, that's when I think of Assassin's
and
Creed, I think of Ezio and Altora and even the one guy from Assassin's Creed 3. I think it's Eric is his name. I mainly think
no,
of those.
oh my god, I know who you're talking about. He's my favorite
Yeah,
assassin. I'm
from
blanking right
Assassin's
now.
Creed 3. Comments let us know.
Connor,
Connor,
I
yeah,
think
that's who
Connor.
I
Yeah, Connor
think.
Kenway. Connor Kenway,
People who
the
stand
fucking
up
goat.
against like evil, and obviously the evil is like the Templars and the way the story went. I think that's what I think of Assassin's Creed. Obviously, jeez,
Now, real quick,
oh,
I want to say this, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think it's really important. Uh, In terms of black assassins, definitely not against it, because you have Bayek, from Assassin's Creed Origins.
I
He
was
was
gonna say
black.
like who's that
You
from?
also have I forgot which side game, but I want to say Assassin's Creed Rogue maybe. I forgot the main character's name, but he is also black, you know, to my knowledge. And
I don't
it's
know.
it's not a thing of like black assassins are bad. It's a thing of in terms of culture, right? Like, and this is gonna be a debate either way you want it, whether or not Yasuke was a samurai or not. I hear both sides. I hear that he was just a sword bearer, which wasn't a real samurai. Uh, and then I also hear, like, oh no, he was a sword bearer and eventually got training and he was basically a samurai. Listen, I'm not a history expert yet, and I love history. It's just something I haven't studied upon. But like that's a interesting subject. And it's not that we're against black assassins at all. It's just like we said, it has to fit the narrative
I think.
and
Sorry,
a
keep going.
loose narrative. And for all the people that are saying, "Oh, it's a made-up game. It's a fake game," like uh, George Washington didn't work for the Illuminati, and he didn't die on top of a pyramid like in Assassin's Creed. Like I get that, you know. But you need to have some kind of
I guess
what's the right word?
open-mindedness. You
No,
know.
I wasn't gonna go that route. You need to have a good foundation for the story, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know. Personally, I hate Ubisoft. I think they deserve all the financial troubles they're going through.
I mean,
And this coming from a dude who used to love Assassin's Creed.
yeah.
I grinded a lot of time in my life, in games like Siege. Like I had love for Ubisoft, but seeing how they handled the company in the past 4 years it's been rough. And it's like, for the sake of the IP, preservation of Assassin's Creed, I hope Shadows doesn't do well. Not because there's a black samurai assassin, but purely because that IP needs to move on to different owners who actually care about the game. And yeah, the game does look different enough compared to Ghost of Tsushima. Um, so I'm not even gonna like compare and be like, oh my god, it's literally Ghost of Tsushima, because it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
in Ghost you only had one weapon, but you had different stances. And you rocked that the whole game. In Assassin's Creed, you got a variety of weapons, different types of finishers. Uh, the one thing I'm excited to see though is the implementation of their new stealth. The fact you can finally prone after some 15 Assassin's Creed games is hype,
That's crazy.
and
That's
it's
crazy.
something I look forward to.
I didn't even know
Uh,
you couldn't do
but it's
that.
just one of those things where it's like you just got to make it work. And I think a game that literally did it perfect in terms of diversity and like trying to naturally have it is the game The Last of Us 1 and 2.
That
Now I
yeah.
know The Last of Us Part 2 is like the most divisive game ever made. Um, and it's not for bad reasoning. I see both sides, and personally I land in the field that I think it's one of the best games ever made. I love the game. The story's definitely rough. It's a little confusing and all over the place. And I think if they changed it up a little bit, it would have been the best game of all time, in my opinion. But I love what they did in terms of like the first game. They introduced Ellie. Uh, they always made it a thing from the start where she was a lesbian. And it fit in the story, and it felt like it was who Ellie was. It wasn't just like a title that she had that she's a lesbian. And going on to the second game that really gets explored, and I think it's like masterfully done, in my opinion. Uh, that's a great example of like how it should be. You know, a great example of how it shouldn't be in terms of forcing that in people's faces is
I was gonna say
sorry guys, I'm stupid.
no. You get. Some of this gonna
You can
cut,
keep going. I forgot it. When I
but
remember it,
um.
I'll start yapping about it.
See, when you talked about that, and um, even with like Leslie, fucking, oh my god, dude, with Ellie being a lesbian in part two, and like how that fit, that made me really think of the gaming. I don't know if you ever heard of it. The gaming franchise Life is Strange. That is
Oh yeah,
like I've heard great things across the board about the story. And the thing is, with that diversity, I think how they make it so good is that they tell you it's a thing, but they don't ever like force it. It's just there, and then you're not really like, fuck, what's the word? It doesn't affect the story in a negative way. It's just something that's like prominent. It's like, okay, Ellie's a lesbian, and like, I think even if she was like straight, it would be like the same story where like I know because I haven't played part two, but I do know that like also spoilers if you haven't played Last of Us Part Two, but I know like she does go out
dude,
and
it's a great game. Don't listen to other people.
she goes out and kills the one girl. I don't know her name. Is it Abby? I think who kills Joel.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, where she goes out on a
yeah.
revenge path to kill Joel. I think even if she
Still
was
crying.
like straight, it would still be the same thing because like how I view that is her partner, I don't know her name, is like I don't want you to go out seeking
Gina.
revenge. Gina,
Oh,
yeah,
my bad. Not Gina. Dina.
Dina. I
Love
don't
Dina.
want you to go out seeking revenge. I want you to stay here and stay with the family you have. Like what is like even it doesn't matter who what fucking sexuality you are. That is something I see in any fucking couple, right? Because it's like why are you going to go like why are you going to let your partner go on a revenge path because I mean, yes, Joel did die. She had to see that. So I definitely see both angles where it's like Ellie wanted to go and kill the girl who fucking killed her father in front of her face and everything. And then but Dina's like, I don't want you to go out because like I want you to stay here with the family. Let it go. Joel's dead, right? And it's just learn to forgive and forget, which is I feel like a main part of. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jester, but I feel like the story kind of Last of Us Part Two is like the story of forgiving and forgetting. You know, like
It's
we're going the wrong way, by the way.
forgive but don't forget
Yeah,
is how I feel it is.
like
But I think the biggest thing people need to realize with Last of Us Part 2 is that it is a game about perspective. Um, Joel's not a good guy, and we love Joel. We learn to love Joel, especially because he takes care of Ellie, who, got the shit end of life. And so yes, it's gonna fucking suck that Joel dies. Now, this is part of the game where I don't agree with how not how they killed him off, but they did it too early. I feel like if you had a little bit more time and put flashbacks in order of how they happen and built up to Joel being in the game and then killing him, uh, it would have had a better impact and it would have sat better with the community because you don't wait a whole 7 years for a sequel just to kill off like the most loved main character besides Ellie within 2 hours of the game like that. And they try and subsidize, the loss of losing him with these flashbacks. But like I said, I feel like the game would have been way more better received if they killed him off later in the story. And I would have much rather The Last of Us Part Two. And again, I love that game. I do think it's one of the best games ever. But there are flaws in it, you know.
I think that's
Um,
with
I,
like
d-
any game.
I do think that
So I didn't mean to cut you.
if it was a 40-hour game instead of a 20-hour game, it would have been better. Give it time to let people have Joel. Um, Give it time to see how bad the dynamic got before Ellie started hating Joel. And I feel like that was a huge part in the game where in the end, Matt, in the end of the game, she has a flashback to the night before Joel died.
Yeah.
And I think it's my favorite scene in the game, but it's only my favorite scene because of the way the game was made. Like they hid that, they didn't have that, they didn't even hint towards that at all during the entire game. And to have that like visceral scene of like I can't forgive you for what you did to me, but I still love you and I'm willing to make it work. Like that's real love. And at the end of the day, it's one of the best scenes ever. Um, but you still could have had the same, honestly, more in my opinion. You could have had more of an impact with that scene if you built up their relationship more uh, in the earlier parts of the second game.
See, I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit because yes, I know I've not played The Last of Us 2. And I'll probably understand a lot more, but I think
Wait, it's on PC. I
I
think
know
you need to play
it's
it.
on my wish list. I'll play it eventually.
You need to play it, man. You need
Um,
to play it, man.
but I just think they killed off Joel so early, more or less to get like Ellie's revenge path like up and going like as soon as possible, right? It's like Joel's dead and now it's like almost as if like that's the only thing that consumes her the entire time, you know? Like
I get that. Um,
so
and
that's
I'm not
why.
against the whole trope of revenge bad. Like, I think there's definitely levels to it. I'm not gonna say, never like defend yourself if that makes sense. And if people have wronged you, then I don't know. It gets so convoluted.
Yeah,
I'm saying at the base levels of revenge, like it's okay, but to go, this is a huge issue I have with the game. But again, for the story, it makes sense, dude. And like, you can't help but accept it at the end of the day. Uh, not only does Abby kill Joel, she also kills Jesse, also wounds Dina, and mutilates Tommy. And that's at the half point of the story, right, Matt?
yeah,
And at the climax of the story, you switch perspectives and play as Abby for most of the game, like a good amount. I don't want to say most, but for
yeah.
another 8 to 10 hours, you play as Abby, and it's like to do that is damn near feels criminal, you know?
I do. Yeah, I mean, I do get that, but I mean, weren't they doing that as a
I'm
way
just
to
gonna
like
say, if,
give Abby a perspective, or like give people
yeah, yeah,
Abby's
yeah, and like I
perspective?
said, it is a game about perspective,
So yeah,
but they could have done that perspective better. You know, it's interesting how you give the protagonist and the antagonist of the story, you know, both of their parts in the beginning of the game, because you play as both of them, Matt,
yeah.
in the very beginning. You play as Ellie for a little bit, immediately switch to Abby, and then you start seeing the build up. You know, Joel dies, and then you get flashbacks with Ellie, and it's just it all feels very messy. You know, is all I'm trying to say. And
I
for a
get
more
you.
cohesive story, um, I think it would have worked better. Like I said,
I guess it's a
if
fair point.
they handled it differently. And again, it's
It's not a
the
bad game.
whole revenge factor that Ellie goes on. Oh my god, dude, it's so hard to talk about. I wish you played the game, because you know
I mean, I definitely
exactly how I'm feeling about it, and like, you really need to play the game, dude. It's
I do, and
genuinely worth it. It's awesome.
I think when I do play it, we can definitely have more of a inline discussion about it.
Yeah,
Cause
we could have more of an in-depth talk, and honestly, we should do a whole video on just that. If I'm being
I'll
honest.
definitely be down for that. I just think it's funny
But
that we went from
I'll stop with the Last of Us talk, because again, we
yeah,
just go in hours about revenge, good or bad, and like the cost of what Ellie tried to do and the cost that it took on the people she loved.
yeah,
That'd be a really good video to make. So for now, I'm gonna put a what do you call it?
pin in it.
Note in that pin note, a pin in it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so
Put a pin in that. Last of Us 2, one of the greatest games ever made, and a perfect example of how to make
diversity.
uh yeah, how to make diverse characters and include them in a story where it's like natural, you know.
Yeah,
And I'm in no way am I saying that you need to have a character to start off gay or anything like that. Because yeah, that's what we got with Ellie, but it's not like we knew Dina in the first game.
yeah.
You know, she was a new character and she was introduced that way, but they made it flow and they made it work. So allocate resources correctly is a huge thing of it, and I feel like we see a lot of these games flop in the industry because they try and force it down people's throats. And again, no one's gonna want to listen to you if you're all up in their face, you know, basically screaming like, "Hey, like me, accept me, you know, let me be." And because I can tell you right now, 90% of gamers don't give a fuck uh, what you are in the sense of you're gay, straight, lesbian, trans. Um, the only thing they really care about,
It's
or
how
at
you
least for
are
the
as a
games I play, is
person.
if you could play good. I'm not gonna lie, like,
Yeah,
bro, like, let's get going on rivals, bro. Like, I don't need all this yap stuff. No, I'm joking.
I think it's
But at
more.
the end of the day, you know, especially for me, I'll let you say this after. At the end of the day, especially for me, personally, I don't care what you are, what you identify as. I care about what you do. That defines you as a person, you know?
Yeah,
You may go ahead and put a label on yourself if you want. That's okay. But at the end of the day, uh, I judge based off how you are, you know,
yeah.
what you do with your life.
I was gonna say that because I feel like with the whole like what gamers think, this not might be true for any all gamers. This is just at least me.
Yeah, like I said, dude, 90% of gamers are like that.
I think it's like, cause you said like
Oh my god, can you kill
um
me? My
Why?
game's bugged.
Oh, I'm on my way.
It's constantly have my screen out, but I can't like even look or anything. Oh wait, no, I fixed it. What the fuck? Okay.
Okay,
Okay. All right. All right.
okay, my fault. But no, to your point, like I think there's a lot of good care. Like I especially in video games, I will judge any person off of how they are as a person more than because I mean, think of like okay, I was gonna like talk about like bad people, but mine blinked on any like good
Oh yes.
villain.
Think about bad people.
Well, not like I guess like villain and antagonist like and how they act and because I mean even like with any uh antagonist like there are some good ones that people are like we yes you are evil and what you do is like bad right you're harming other people but we still like you because of like why like I
Bro spits
guess
facts.
take
No.
Magneto for a second like he's always wanted
Oh
to
my god,
protect
dude,
mutant.
Magneto is fucking goated,
This
man.
is more of like I guess in comic books
Bro's
and
not a villain
movies and how
anymore.
he's always perceived. He's always wanted to protect mutants, right? He don't care. He hates humans because of the um
He hates humans because of the hatred they have for
yeah.
mutants,
And
and it's a
so
beautiful little, interesting
he always wants to
dichotomy.
protect mutants. That's his only goal. He don't care what mutant you are, right? He just like but that's a villain like people respect because of his actions, right? Yes, they're bad. Yes, he's, I guess I don't know
It's the motive.
it's the motive behind what he does that like I feel like me personally I respect him and others respect him too and I don't like Magneto
Love
can be whatever
Magneto.
the fuck he wants I'd still respect him just because of what he does
And
so
it's honestly beautiful. I just recently got back into X-Men because I only saw the Wolverine movie when I was like really young, so I never really watched them. But like the dichotomy of Professor X and Magneto is it's beautiful because I feel like that's life. Like two people at the end of the day want the
fuck
same thing but go about it in a different way, and that way is the path you take is like how I'm gonna judge you based as a character. You know,
yeah
like Magneto, love him because of his love for mutants and like wanting to protect them. But I hate the actions he takes and the people he hurts. Compare that to Professor X. To my knowledge, in the movies so far, and the ones that I've watched about three so far.
fuck dude
Professor X ain't trying to like kill people left and right. He's trying to integrate mutants into society and give them like a safe haven and be a comfort for them. Like that's goaded.
yeah
But you also can't like fault Magneto because his trauma goes back to fucking World War II, man. Like
yeah
it's just wild. I love it.
so
On
okay
moving on.
to go back to something you brought up earlier about AAA games is management
Oh
and
my god, dude, management is
I
fucking a
think
shit show.
I think more recently, it's just been about people making money. Now, whether that is actually so, I'm gonna take this for example, and I think I've talked to you about this. Call of Duty's Black Ops 6. Call of Duty is a great franchise, right? Um,
Yes.
I think it has great games. Even some of the newer games are great. Like I'm in all honesty, I enjoy Black Ops 6. I just think it could be so much
I love it.
better if I do this I call it as the big men right the CEOs the stockbrokers the people who ultimately care about the money and how much it generates they care about that more than the actual game itself so when they look at the charts and they see that numbers are going down they don't like that right especially with the microtransactions right you see as something like Black Ops 1 it was successful because of how rich the story was, how great the multiplayer was, how goated zombies was. Those are the main things that made the number go up. But then once you started seeing microtransactions, right, that went up even higher. So it's kind of like, okay, the big boys, with the big bucks, right, they see all this and they're like, huh, we can make this go even higher. And that's so now it's like they're pressing all these game developers that would love to make games just for the love of it into how much money can we score out of these gamers, right? 9 to 5ers, me, Jester, you guys, the listeners, whoever who play games for the sake of games. How can we score money out of them, right? So I don't blame Activision for all the obviously yes, the microtransactions are annoying, and some of them are just straight up
They have
bad.
gotten a little ridiculous.
And now with like, I'm one of our buddies always talks about this. Some of the art and the inclusion of AI, which is I'm not gonna talk. I'm talking about this briefly because I know how you feel about it. So, but how easier
AI
it
will
is
be the
to
end of the
cut,
world. Mark my words.
how easy it is for people to cut these people and let AI take over because it's cheaper, and then it just like I feel like it all goes back into how much money can the big boys at the top extort and get and on these gamers on us. So it's kind of like
Exactly.
BO6 in my opinion is an amazing game, and it's not one of those copy paste how people think that Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3 was. I think Activision, admittedly, they haven't made a game since Cold War, so it's been like a hot minute. But I think they really took their time and they cared about this more than anything because of like, um, it's a great. I have not finished the campaign, but I know you said it is a
It's
great,
fucking awesome, dude.
amazing story.
Genuinely one of the best campaigns.
Zombies, yes, is a little rough, but I still love it because I think the story is not the best, but I do love
The story's dog shit, but at the end of the day, it's zombies. Like,
I do love the casualness. I feel like this zombies is more of a casual game than all the other ones because it's like it's so fun for me just to hop in and then just kind of listen to YouTube, listen to music, watch like anime or Netflix, and just like vibe playing zombies because in my opinion that's what BO6 zombies offers me. Um,
damn.
so like I mean even looking at games like people always talk about Bungie and how goated it was. I mean, admittedly, they were working on one game, which was just Halo, so they weren't really working on multiple games, and that's I think that's a difference in the time. And then 343 taking over and people not liking it, which I will say another quick little side note. What I believe, I think Halo 4 was good. It just we didn't appreciate it for what it was at the time, so that's why like I feel like Halo
Halo
5 was
4 is great.
like but this is a lot of things that people are saying years later, and I think that's a key moment of why so many people like that Halo 5 was almost created. Like I believe that Halo 4 was underappreciated and we didn't truly understand it at the time because I think a lot of it was just like we wanted to get back into the action and we wanted to be like Halo 2 guns blazing, Halo 3, go in, kill the Covenant or whatever. So, with Halo 4, it wasn't exactly like that all the time, and so it was, I think, difficult for gamers to like transition into that like uh the guns blazing that was like 2, 3 Reach ODST. Well, not even I don't know about ODST and Reach, but I know 2 and 3 were very much just going in gun into the more softness and the more low tone nature that was Halo 4. That's just me, and now that I fucking I forget what I was talking about. What was I talking about? I know I was talking about big people, the big bucks.
Yeah, you're talking about how the higher ups are greedy
Yeah.
and it's ruining the industry.
And I think that's like a main issue, especially with microtransactions and a little bit of games getting more and more expensive. I also think, because you also brought this up with technology, I think games are getting higher in how much they cost because like the technology is a lot better. Like I have a PC
Yeah.
and I bought it for about under $1,000 and to like I'm not gonna lie, it was really bottom line stuff. Like I was running like this game I'm running at high quality right now. But like when I was playing this, it I don't think it could support Helldivers 2 at high quality for too long. So it was like, okay, well I went and even Black Ops 6, it could not play that game at like really good high quality. I was looking at the shadows and it was pixels. But to me, I was like, I don't really give a shit. I was still playing it. But then when I bought a new GPU, let me tell you, that bitch was expensive. Like now it feels
Yeah.
like I can play like Helldivers 2 all the time on high ultra graphics, and even Black Ops 6. I can run that game.
Like, dude, PC is the master race, but to keep the sustainability on that shit is ridiculous,
Yeah.
dude. Every other month a new part comes out that is supposedly the best on the market, and then I think Spider-Man 2 right now is actually struggling because it just got put on PC, and a lot of people are complaining as well because they have top of the line shit, but it's still struggling to run the game, and it's real interesting. Like, yeah, PC's the best, but it's such a huge drawback in terms of money.
So I know we were talking about this before we started recording. You did bring up a good point that you think that bigger games are now falling off, and it's just like a lot of the indie games. Like, I mean, I would even say like maybe
They're
this game
taking
is
over,
doing a
man.
lot better than most AAA games. So, like, do you want to talk about that and what you think? Like, I do kind of agree with you to a sense, but I do want to see what you have first. So,
So I find it crazy that a card game, Balatro, can make it to Game of the Year nomination, which was made by one developer, and that should speak volumes to people that it's not. It is partially the dev's fault in terms of games that flop, but it is mainly the higher ups' fault because they have them work these horrible hours, um, constantly demanding more. Fun fact: managers just love to keep putting more money in their pockets, increasing their salary because they have the power to do that in the gaming industry. You look at the Wii. I believe it's the Wii U president or the Wii president. He chose to cut his salary in half, which, by the way, is a lot of money. But because it's a lot of money, he can still live off of it. He chose to cut his salary in half just to give his employees a little bit more money. Like that, that is awesome. That is what the gaming industry needs. But no, you have these higher ups and these higher executives that want to take as much money as they can get and pocket it for themselves, and that is killing the industry. It is. Listen, we love Black Ops 6, and it is a good game, but it can be better. And the implementation of AI is seen as lazy to other people, and I also agree. Not because the AI looks bad. I mean, it does. There are obvious like examples of it being messed up. Um, but it's because it's taking away jobs of real people, people that actually need that. And it
especially
goes back to
amazing
like self
artists.
checkout. Self checkout exists in real life because people don't gotta man it, and it's overall cheaper to just have that than to hire a new worker just to work at the cashier. And you see the ramifications of it and the effect it has, and it's only gonna get worse with the implementation of AI. And it's BO6 was caught in a rough time development wise because that was right when the writers I forgot what it was called, like the SAG after or whatever, the writer strike happened, and
Oh
AI
yeah,
was a part of that, and a lot of voice actors were caught up in that. So it was in a weird spot where like those voice actors could still be voice acting for BO6, but by the time the game fully came out, things changed. Contracts contracts ended up changing, so it's a little difficult for Treyarch. Uh, it's not even difficult for Treyarch. I would argue that Treyarch did that to themselves. They had a choice, AI or not, and some of their voice actors weren't comfortable with it. Some of them don't care. Majority of them do care though, and they played their card at the end of the day, and they showed what they really want. And all they've ever cared about is money, and that has been the thing since the start of Advanced Warfare. Infinity War made it worse, and then Modern Warfare 2019 was the peak of the trend of microtransactions. And you look at that game, gameplay wise, gunplay wise, map wise, it's fucking perfect. But that you can't deny the fact that that is where microtransactions boosted, and it's just such an interesting situation we're in with the gaming industry. It really comes down to just don't be an asshole from the higher ups, and let your developers develop the game that they are passionate about, and it
yeah.
will work out.
I think
It's wild what you can do, man, when you let developers do their thing. Just look at Balatro.
that is true. I mean, I think a good example of the like developers taking their time, I think, is From Software. And the thing with that, and I was comparing that
Oh,
to
we're going down a rabbit hole I love.
I'm just gonna because the thing is, I feel like most modern day AAA gaming companies can really take the example of From Software, especially Activision, because From Software, so their history, to what I know, they had like a I forget the first game, like couple games they ever developed. they had that, and then they started creating. I know I talked about this on our first episode, but
Let me
uh,
let me look it up.
um, yeah, correct me. They had that, and then they introduced Armored Core, and they were putting out a lot of games and they were putting out games and a lot of expansions for that, and it wasn't taking off doing numbers like the Dark Souls games are, because not because any of the Armored Core games were bad. No, they were really great. They were hard, and I think that was the core fundamental they had. But then they were I forget his name. I know the head.
Miyazaki.
Yeah, him. He came in like around Armored Core 4 as when he first started, and then he created Armored Core 4, 5, and 6. And I know there's even no Armored Core 4 and 5 and those expansions. And I know there's even talk among Armored Core fans and at least longtime FromSoft fans that debate whether or not like Armored Core 4 and 5 are still a part of the root foundations, and even 6 are part of the root foundations of the Armored Core series. But like obviously after a point they stopped with the Armored Core and they made this FromSoft the Dark Souls game. What the Speaking of circles, they made the Dark Souls games, and they obviously were doing numbers, so it was like, okay, we know what we have. Let us take our time. Like I don't know what year Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3.
Demon Souls came after Dark Souls 1, I believe. No, I don't think that's right.
Someone in the comments correct
Let me look it
us,
up.
or I'll look up and show and explain post. But I know between each game though, they didn't have just only a year. They had a couple of years. Cause I didn't even know this, right? Before Elden Ring, it was Sekiro that came out, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Sekiro
didn't.
came out, I want to say 2018, 2019.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I had no idea. Like, I thought like Sekiro came out 2017, 2016, like older. I didn't know it was like
Yeah, it's
newer. Like,
2019, March 22nd.
yeah, I didn't know that because then it's like, okay, when did Elden Ring come out? Was it 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
No, 2022.
yeah, that's freaking what 2020, 2021. That's almost 3 years of development to make Elden Ring, and I feel like you really see the work in that. And then obviously the next year, 2023, they came out with Armored Core 6. They didn't do any Elden Ring stuff, but even then, people were still talking about it, playing it, streaming it, whatever. And then you have obviously
Wait,
Elden
damn, it
Ring.
launched? I didn't even do that. What the hell?
Oh, I think I read it. Were you ready up?
I don't remember. That's kind of wild though.
I know I was
I
taking
don't even
that
think I have
forever.
a booster on.
I know you do. I did see.
Okay.
Sorry about that. But you see like Elden Ring and FromSoft taking their time, and like Shadows of the Air Tree, people really consider that a really goated DLC to Elden Ring, and then now you have freaking Shadows of the Air Tree, not Shadows of the Air Tree, the new what is it called?
Night Rain.
Yeah, Elden Ring Night Rain come out in 20 this year in 2025, and that's still
In
like,
like a month. Oh, later this month, I believe.
oh really?
No, I'm fucking tripping.
I
Don't
thought
mess
it
with me.
was
I'm
I thought it
stupid.
was later in the year. Um, but like FromSoft has always had at least a year plus in their development time to really cook because they know what they have, and it's like I think a lot of gaming companies should take after that. And
Speaking of Souls games, if I may, full transparency, Souls games are borderline not for me. Uh, in general, I don't like fantasy RPGs that are so in depth, uh, like Dark Souls. You know, it's just too much, and I just don't care enough at the end of the day. But I'm not naive to how great of a game they are. For example, Elden Ring, and I have tried them out. The most time I have is in Bloodborne, which is my favorite
I know,
FromSoft game,
yeah, you did
and
talk
that
about
is because
this.
of the aesthetic, and it's partly fantasy. Like it is fantasy, but it's a different kind of fantasy. It's like gothic fantasy,
Yeah,
and I find that more intriguing than just dragons and castles. You know.
yeah,
Um, but that being said, like I'm not. I'm nowhere. I'm not gonna deny. how incredible those games are. I did find out recently though that with the release of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, uh, I'm a fucking hack and slash slut. Those games are goaded, and they're definitely way more for me. You know, because they're more combo based. You know,
I think that ties in a little bit to your Mortal Kombat love.
it definitely does. I listen, guys. I'm good at video games. You know, I'm decent at whatever I play, but I shine in fighting games.
Yeah.
Like that's my shit. I know what I'm doing. And so I like games that take a little bit more time combat wise, where you know it's not like Dark Souls where you dodge 3 times and then get 2 hits in and then run away, heal up if you got hit. Like to me that's boring personally. The visuals may look amazing, but at the end of the day, gameplay is very important for me. Um, and what I love about games like Ninja Gaiden, which even then we could talk about the controversy in Ninja Gaiden 2 Black because there is, and I think you might be surprised about it. But at the end of the day, like that game is way more combat intensive, way more focused on, in my opinion. And even with a game like Ninja Gaiden 2, it has a great variety of weapons that you could choose from. That all at the end of the day, uh, I don't want to say they do the same things, but there's 1 or 2 moves, you know, that are carried over to each weapon that you can implement. Uh,
Yeah.
but aside from that, like each weapon has its own purpose and unique attribute, and it's just something that I love to play with. You know, I've sunk somewhere already. Oh my god, it's telling no life. It just goes to show you how much I love it. Uh, I want to say 35, 40 hours on Ninja Gaiden 2 already, and I've truly fallen in love with that series because it was a series that you know was before my time, not drastically. I actually do remember playing the original Ninja Gaiden 2, but I was dog shit at it and not good. So like I don't really count it as me playing it before. Uh, but that being said, Dark Souls is awesome. I see the appeal. Part of me likes the appeal, but overall I don't vibe with it. I think I am gonna take the time after I finish the Ninja Gaiden series to really play through all the Dark Souls games. I'm start off with Bloodborne though because it's my favorite, and then I'm gonna start with Dark Souls 1. I'm skipping 2 because
Yeah.
I mean man, if Souls fans don't like it, I don't think I will. So skipping 2, going to 3, and then I'll hit Elden Ring. But that's my little tangent on what I think about the Souls games. You know, they're great. They're not for me though.
That's definitely fair. Well, I mean, Ubisoft does deserve the hate. um,
Ubisoft deserves the hate. Treyarch deserves the hate. Um, Ubisoft is huge though, man. You gotta remember they have like Watch Dogs, which they fucked.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, you could even take a look at games that don't necessarily. Payday 3, for example. You know, I think that's a great example of how games can flop. Is they don't do anything with it. You know, it had a very boring gameplay loop. Uh, and they didn't add content forever, and then the hype died down. You know, like there's definitely a lot. You can look at Saints Row 4. Um, I don't even know much about that game.
Yeah.
I saw Charlie play that for 2 hours, and it was the funniest thing ever because it was Charlie. But besides from that, like I don't even know. Gaming layoffs. It definitely has a drastic effect on the gaming community. When you look at it, that's a huge reason why developers are overworked and underpaid. It's because of all these gaming layoffs. And again, you can solve that by not having shitty managers. You know, managing your team correctly. You can have a team of 50 developers, right? And they could all have their own task and stuff to mitigate. But when you want to fucking fill your pocket up and cut your team down to 25, like that is where things get rough. Look at oh wow, they updated it. You actually like run now with artillery shit. Um, Look at
Oh,
games like Arrowhead. I want to say they have some. Hold
did you
on,
say
let me
like
look
a
it up so I don't sound
hundred?
like a dumbass.
I want to say like 100.
They have
Oh,
around 120 developers. Arrowhead,
Yeah.
and look at what they're able to accomplish with this game, with way less funding. You know,
I think.
it's
Sorry,
it's
keep
just
going.
wild. I will truly never understand having so much greed that it ruins people's lives to have all that money and that power that people feel. I would truly never understand it.
And I think that's. I think the main aspect of it is um they're not gamers. Like I feel like that's also another thing. A lot of the love for the older games. I'm gonna take Bungie for example. How they started was it was just a bunch of gamers wanting to express
Yeah,
their love for
bunch of
game
nerds being
and
nerds.
create games themselves, which is something I also kind of love because I love, you know, not only do I like I did talk about this last episode I believe. I love films. I love just a lot about like learning about film and all this and different camera angles and videography and all that. And I want to pursue that. And I want to eventually create my own stuff, but I know like there's obviously stuff I have to learn. So I want to implement, good shit that people can watch and be like, "Oh, I really enjoyed watching that. I love all these different aspects of it." But I know but that's just because I don't see that as a money opportunity. I see that as more of a passion. Even this is more of a passion of just two people
Yeah, this
talking.
is definitely passion that we're coming
And
from, dude.
will it be nice if this takes off one day? Of course. Like it'll be great if we one day we can retire from like not be able to have two jobs and just do this financially supporting us because I feel like this is I feel like not enough people talk about anything and I feel like I don't want to say this is we're the people who are gonna come and save talking about video games but
I definitely feel like people talk, but they don't dive into it how it should be dived into. They hit the general notes. Like gaming industry sucks because of layoffs. Well,
yeah
how are these layoffs happening? You know, does that really affect the industry? Which it does. Just hypothetical questions. Like
yes
we're trying to push the envelope a little bit.
so and like that's why it was this all this and all of what I want to do in life is a passion thing and I feel like you don't really see that a lot in video games anymore. You just see money, you just see trying to appeal to like certain people and it's one of those things where it's like it's not a gamers thing anymore, right? And I think
Yeah, it's about the
like
money now.
FromSoft and all the smaller whatchamacallit, all of the smaller indie games, how they're so popular, it's because they're also just gamers trying to play. What is a good example? Freaking, what's that one game called on PC where you go around and travel? Lethal Company. Lethal Company is
Oh, Lethal Company. Yeah.
like I think that's also developed by one person, and I have no doubt they love games that are similar to where you can. Uh, sorry, I looked over where you were and I just saw an explosion.
Yeah, that was a 500 kilogram, by the way. I think they buffed it
Oh,
because
okay.
they updated the game today.
They buffed it
Matt.
again. I did see that.
Yeah.
I yeah, that's what I was telling you about the shovel.
Well, they
Uh,
might have because I was really far away from that explosion and it still rocked my shit.
that's crazy. I just blew up a fucking hell bomb. And that kind of rocked my shit a little bit. But anyway, back to level games. I feel like that's where a lot of people get lost because even in YouTube, right? There's a little bit of that. The fact that people call it the Mr. Beastification because I guess it's because he's
Mr.
really
Beast
successful
vacation.
and he has a lot of money. He's able to do all these big projects. That's what YouTube should be, right? It's not a thing of a love of making videos for other people to watch or a love of a certain content that you want to go out and you spread. And I think I just think that's a really main fault is that people have started to lose a lot of the developers and managers have started to lose the or they're not people who are gamers. They just come up and they're just managers that know how to make money and then they just are put into this high power
Exactly.
places and they don't know how to they don't ever play games or they don't ever, you know, love games. They're just like I just see this as like a money market or even I just want to do this and it's just I don't want to say upsetting but it just like if you're trying to get a sandwich from a deli store would you rather have
Shout out Jersey
someone
Mike's.
who knows how to make sandwiches or someone who knows how to make fucking, I don't know, some mathematician or some shit like that. I'm just throwing an example. You'll want the guy who knows how
With
to
the
make.
right tool for the right job is
Yeah,
what you're
you might
trying to
want to
say.
get back. I just activated that hell bomb. Um,
You
you
bitch.
you want to have the right people for the right job, and not just for the sake of money, for the sake of the love of the game. Okay, I thought, sorry. I was looking up like, didn't that go off?
Beautiful.
And I just I don't really want people who've never played something like Halo to make the next Halo game, because it's like, to me Halo is a huge childhood memory, and I would rather have people that also share that childhood memory similar to me to be able to make that, cuz they know what to make. And so I don't know. I think that's, like I said, another reason why a lot of the big
I feel
gamers
you. It goes
are.
back to our, our last episode about music. Check it out if you haven't. It's goaded. You need passion. Passion needs to be involved. Because if not, you're gonna end up with soulless husk games, similar to Watch Dogs Legion. You know,
Yeah, I don't.
Saints Row 4, Call of Duty Vanguard. You're gonna end up with shells of what they once were. And passion at the end of the day is what makes or breaks things. Back to that Ninja Gaiden thing. I forgot the developer, but the main developer, the lead, he was Team Ninja's like Miyazaki. I forgot his name right now, but he left during the development of I want to say during or right after the development of Ninja Gaiden 2, which by the way is hailed as one of the best action games of all time. He left right during that or before that because of disagreements on how the game should be and what he wanted, you know. But he wasn't an asshole and like took the codes with him or anything like that. I don't believe that's what happened that people say. Uh, at the end of the day, it was just differences, and you know, it goes back to the thing of people want different things and they have different desires, and you could see the level of quality that Ninja Gaiden had fall off after he left in Ninja Gaiden 3. Because definitely not talked about, and even if it is, only Razor's Edges, which is Ninja Gaiden 3, but a different version of it. So it goes back to at the end of the day, you need passion in life. You need to have these things, and if you want to be successful and you have the passion, especially nowadays with the technology, you could do it, man. Look at games like Lethal Company, Helldivers,
Oh
um,
yeah.
Balatro. Indie games are gonna rule the future from now here on out, and I'm happy because it's gonna mean that we're gonna have games that the devs actually give a fuck about. You might have your problems with certain games like Helldivers. You might call it repetitive, but when you think about a team of 100 people did this, it's honestly astonishing. And you look at a game like fucking Call of Duty BO6, right? I mean, mechanically it's a cool game. Gunfights feel good in my opinion. The maps are rough, right? The use of AI. Don't even get me started on zombies because I don't want to sit here for another 5 hours about the downfall of my glorious zombie mode. Um, but yeah, at the end of the day, um,
Passion.
support the devs, man. Let the
I
devs do what they need to do, bro.
I think if you have a passion, I mean, I know we talked about this last episode. If you have a passion, you should definitely go out and you should try, right? You never know what you and a couple buddies, who could make, right? Like if you're someone who knows how games work. I mean, I took a little video game class in high school, and admittedly, it was very much intro shit, but it was still enough to, I was like, okay, this shit runs deep, and I would have really loved to pursue that more you know, if I had more of the passion at the time. But I didn't. And if you're sitting around working a 9 to 5 and you just feel like you're not doing much in life, why not try? Because at the end of the day, whether you if you didn't try, and then later down in life, you like sit there and like, man, I really should have tried. even if it doesn't get successful, even if it's not the next Balatro or the next Helldivers or Lethal Company, it is still something where you can say I tried, and like you can take that to your grave, and no one else can ever say that. So, you know,
Guys, the worst thing that can happen is that your goal doesn't get met on that day, but it eventually will. You just need to have faith in yourself and
yeah,
those
like
around you.
one of our good buddies, Pursuito Happy, which
Hopefully, we'll have him on the channel one day.
do you wanna real quick? Do you wanna have him on next week potentially, and we can talk?
Dude,
Uh,
fucking whenever, man. Literally whenever. You could do that shit right now after this, and I'd be down.
I
Like,
think we can definitely work with him to potentially have him next week. But like he's
yeah.
been doing his channel for like years, and like he's always been passionate about it, and I think now um he's really taken off with it, and so it's it it's so nice to see him like stick with it, and like he's even told us like he loves that we're doing this because he's just a passionate guy, and he loves when people pursue their own passion, and just go check him out. I'll
Yeah, we love
definitely
him.
link
Fucking love him.
his
He's a great guy.
yeah. So you know, be passionate. That's such a weird fucking
That's gonna be our channel quote at the end of the day, dude.
be passionate.
Put that in the description every time. Just be passionate.
I
We
will.
talk about it a lot,
We
but I mean
do.
for good reason, because it's
I mean, it feels us. So
life, video games. It's so easy to just get caught up in what you're doing, and you lose that
passion.
fire, the
Yeah.
flame that kept going. You know, especially for things you enjoy, and you know it's gonna happen eventually, one way or another. You're always gonna lose that, but it's up to you on whether or not you're gonna fight to get that passion back. You
Yeah.
know, I play guitar, and guitar in a lot of senses has saved me. You know, and it's helped me. But there are days where I want to look. You know, I couldn't care less. And
Wait,
then
you're what? You cut
later
out?
on that day, I'll be like, "What the fuck am I talking about? Huh?
Yeah.
What'd you say, Matt?"
Said you cut out. And you said something about your guitar.
All I'm trying to say is that guitar is great, video games are great. Give developers more love; they need it. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that AAA is taking a dive because you know we're really starting to see
It's definitely a
unique and
wake up
interesting
call.
ideas.
It's a wake up
You
call
know,
for them that they need to get their shit together, or we're just gonna like I don't want to say move to indie games, but you know, yeah.
I mean,
I will have no problem dropping like Call of Duty because I feel like I don't even play a lot of AAA games anymore because I'm just so like there's a bunch of games I want to play, but I'm so like, bro, I don't even know what to play. Right? It's like I have Helldivers, but I only ever play that with you guys, and
same.
so like I want to play it more too because I love this game, and I don't ever play Call of Duty 6 multiplayer anymore. I just play zombies, and I don't even
Yeah, I
think
stopped too after season one.
yeah I don't think there's any other big AAA game I have on my PC that I play. A lot of the games I play are indie games, fan made games. I'm trying to play this one game called Me Side, though we will get it. I'm trying to play. I'm
Oh,
playing this other fan made game called Pokemon Infinite Fusion, and there's a bunch of other ones I want to play too. I'm playing freaking started Stardew Valley. Um, it's interesting. I've never played it. And I just wanted to experience it, so I was like, why not? Uh, and I don't even touch my Xbox anymore. Like in all honesty, I don't. So, but I mean, that's just me, I guess. So, alrighty, I think that'll do it for today. I mean, I felt very I don't know, I felt like we were having some great conversations and it did not feel like how it felt. So, I think we're definitely getting more of the hang of this. So thank you if you made it this far. Um if you enjoyed it, Leave a like, subscribe if you like what we do. If you have any thoughts and opinions of your own, right, whether you agree, disagree, you feel as if what we said was wrong, and you want to correct us, leave a comment. We'll read it, we'll respond. We love it when you guys respond. I mean, leave a comment because it's fresh perspectives from someone else. So uh, follow us on Instagram, link in bio, and then it'll also be in the description. Join our Discord if you would also like to, just randomly hit someone up and be like, hey, you know, can we talk? Friendly talk, whatnot, some shit talking too, and that'll do it for me. You got anything, Mr. Jester?
Hey guys, keep doing what you're doing. Stick with it. Find that passion again. Much easier said than done, I know, but what choice do we have? You only got one life. Fucking live it. Live it well. If you want to be like me and fucking know Life Ninja Gaiden 2, then fucking do it because it's a great game. Uh, but yes, at the end of the day, let us know what you thought. Be respectful down in the comments. Try and keep a good vibe because that's what we're trying to do as well. And if you're being an asshole, I'm gonna be an even bigger one too. No, I'm joking. But you know, like I said, this outro's already long enough. Y'all have great. See you next time.
I don't know when the. I feel like, why are you doing the democracy kick so much, dude?
Cause it's funny as fuck.
Give me a hug while we're slowly fading out into infinity, the infinite void.